Boy, was I super surprised to find these brand new mini 12-inch size stacking pumpkins at Dollar Tree. Hi everyone and welcome. My name is Shannon from thedailydiywire.com, and these pumpkins truly inspired my creativity. And I hope that these DIYs inspire you too. We're going to be crafting with clay, baking soda, spray paint, Mod Podge to transform these cute little pumpkins. So let's get right into it. This first set of 3 stacking pumpkins is actually going to be 3 ideas in one. We're going to start by removing the bottom pumpkin, the largest one, and working with that first. This first DIY is inspired by these Pottery Barn terracotta pumpkins that are pretty pricey, but we're going to make this plastic pumpkin look high-end. So to get that faux finish, we're going to start with a terracotta paint, and this is a chalk mineral paint, so it's going to stick to this plastic perfectly for us without chipping off. So we're going to put 1 coat of this paint onto our pumpkin first. I'll be sure to link the supplies down below for you. You'll let that sit and dry, or you can use a heat gun to speed up that process. You can see that beautiful matte finish coming to life once that glossy paint dries. Now we're going to use some baking soda to add some texture and some depth to this pumpkin and get that faux finish. So our second coat of paint we're going to put on not too light. We do want not an over amount, a generous amount. That way it doesn't dry too quickly on you, because we're going to then sprinkle our baking soda into that wet paint, and then you're going to need a dry fluffy brush here, and we're going to kind of press that down into the paint and knock off any excess at the same time. It also helps to kind of tap on the side of the pumpkin to get any of that excess baking soda off. We're going to repeat that process until we get all the way around the pumpkin. This is what it looks like once you do, and I'm just taking that brush, going around, knocking any excess off one more time before then coming in, and we're going to spray this with a clear matte spray. Now the clear matte is extremely important here. We worked really hard to get a matte finish. We don't want to take that away, so make sure to use a clear matte spray, give it a couple coats, and it'll seal all that in. We're going to pair this pumpkin with this really pretty beaded tray from Dollar Tree. At the time it was $1.25. They may be $1.50 now with the price hike, so keep that in mind. But look how pretty this pumpkin is once it's dry. So a couple ideas here. I did want to show you, yes, it was from Dollar Tree. And you could do this a couple different ways. You can put that tray down first, put the pumpkin on top, and we just made it the most beautiful terracotta vase for some faux florals. Option number 2 is to put that tray on top of the pumpkin and make a really pretty fall raised tray that you can add little elements to, like I've shown here with a candle, some matches, and a pine cone. Now we're going to grab out some black spray paint, and remember those top 2 pumpkins? Yep, time to work with those. So go ahead, give those pumpkins 2 coats of black spray paint, let them dry, and then we're going to turn this into a black cat for Halloween. So the only other item and supply that you're going to need for this is some hot glue and this black stiff felt. It was 99 cents at Hobby Lobby. We're not going to need a whole lot of it, maybe half a sheet, so you'll have some more for crafting later with. But I've just cut 2 rectangles here, laid them on top of each other so we can cut 2 ears out at the same time, and then we're going to attach them to the top of this pumpkin. To give your ear some dimension, fold over about 1/4 inch at the bottom of the ear and kind of pinch it up into itself, and that's going to kind of make it curve to the inside. Add some hot glue to the bottom there and attach it to the top of the pumpkin. It helps to add a little bit of hot glue to the backside there too to help keep that kind of caved in look. And like I said, give these ears some dimension. Now for the eyes, we are gonna fold this in half, cut 2 rectangles out at the same time, and then cut 2 eye shapes out and hot glue those to the front. And now for the tail, the best way I can explain this is to cut sort of an S shape out, but a long tail on your S. And then we're gonna hot glue that to the backside of the bottom pumpkin. Next, we're gonna work with the white stacking pumpkins, and yes, you're gonna need all 3 of them. So if you type in ghost vase on Pinterest, you'll see all these really popular viral ghost vases that are going around. We're gonna do a take on that using some air dry clay and our pumpkins. So just a recommendation, I use some gloves for this. This stuff kind of really gets into your skin and your fingers, your fingernails. So some gloves definitely help. We're gonna cut a chunk of that off and then start kind of working the clay. Warm it up, make it pliable, and then you can come in with a rolling pin and roll this out flat. A tip when you're rolling out your clay is to start in the middle and work it to the outside of the circle, just going around until you kind of have an even-ish shape. Then you're gonna come in with a knife and just cut out a circle shape as big as you can. And then we are going to cut a small hole in the middle of that circle because we're gonna lay this over the top of our pumpkin and we need to make room for the stem. Now take your fingers and kind of pinch that clay around the stem so we don't have a big gap there. And then you'll start making waves in your clay around the sides of the pumpkin. So what you kind of do is just kind of make an up and a down and an up, like I said, waves all the way around. Another tip working with this clay is if you take a sponge and a little bit of water, you can kind of smooth out any imperfections in your clay. I had some fingernail marks in mine, so I even took my finger and kind of smoothed it out as best I could. All right, so we are gonna do this and repeat this for each one of those pumpkins. The difference is you're gonna need a little bit more clay for each one of the pumpkins because they get bigger. So we're gonna cut off a bigger chunk, use any excess from our last ghost that we made. Same process though, roll it out, cut a big circle, and then we are gonna now need to make a bigger hole instead of the stem. We gotta make a big hole for the top of this pumpkin. So I thought, well, I'm gonna cut some star shapes in there and just kind of lay them to the middle there. But then I wasn't sure how big a circle I really needed to cut. So I just took it, flipped it upside down, made an impression with the top of the pumpkin, cut that circle out, and then was able to lay this on top and kind of maneuver all that clay around the opening. Now, if you don't cut the starburst shape like I did, you won't have a bunch of extra little pieces you need to smooth out, but still not a big deal once you add a little bit of that water and use the sponge and kind of smooth all that out. You also want to make sure it's kind of flat on top because we're going to be stacking these on top of each other. All right, so this is our second one finished. Another note is make sure your clay is big enough that it's gonna cover the entire pumpkin to the bottom. We don't wanna see the other pumpkin poking out. And we're just gonna repeat that process for our third and largest pumpkin as well. So now we do want to let these sit overnight, but I was a little bit impatient. This was about 6 hours later and they were pretty dry, not completely dry, but dry enough that I felt it was okay to go on to this next step. So we are going to line all these up and start stacking them on top of each other using some E6000 glue. So we're going to add some dabs of that around the bottom pumpkin first. I also came in with a little bit of hot glue here to help reinforce it, make it stick quicker and sooner while that E6000 has time to cure all the way. So we're going to put the middle pumpkin on, repeat that, and add our third pumpkin on top. Looking pretty cute, right? Now all we need to do is add our eyes for our ghost. So I used a paintbrush and some black chalk paint. It was a little bit awkward to catch that on camera, so here's a little bit of magic. So we're gonna work with our white pumpkins again. We did a couple Halloween. Let's go back and do a really pretty and classy looking fall set of pumpkins. Go ahead and stack these together. I am going to be using my vinyl cutting machine to cut some gold vinyl. We're going to cut out the words "Happy Fall Y'all." This will be in my Cricut Design Space profile, which I'll link down below for you. So if you have a Cricut machine, it'll make it easy for you. They're already scaled to size. All you got to do is cut them out, add them to your pumpkin. If you don't have a Cricut machine or a vinyl cutting machine, no problem. A gold paint pen and your own beautiful handwriting works just as well. But be sure to check down in the description box below if you have any questions about any of the supplies that I'm using today. I will have them linked down below for you. We're going to cut out, well, we weeded out all of our vinyl. We're going to cut them out, add our transfer tape to the top, and then apply each one of these vinyl decals onto the pumpkin. So obviously we have the words "Happy Fall Y'all." So we're going to put them in order, top to bottom. I love the way the gold looks with these white pumpkins, and you can leave them like this, or you can take them a step further like I'm here. A galvanized metal bucket from Dollar Tree is going to elevate these and kind of make them look more of like a topiary. So we're going to add some hot glue to the top rim of the bucket, add the pumpkins, and we're going to embellish with some Dollar Tree Spanish moss. So we're just going to put some around the bottom. I only had a teeny tiny bit, so I just added some to the bottom, but you let me know down in the comments below. Would you have added some more of the Spanish moss in between each one of the pumpkins where they meet? I think that would have been cute too, but I also really like the way this turned out. So you let me know which way you prefer down in the comments below. For this project, you're going to need the set of 3 pumpkins that have the 3 different colors. You're also going to need some fabric, some jute or some rope from Dollar Tree. We're going to take these and we're going to work on them individually, so don't stack them up quite yet. So we're going to work with the middle pumpkin first. You want the one that's kind of the yellowish color. And we're going to cut some strips of fabric down to about 8 to 10 inches long. You want them to be able to wrap top to bottom of that yellow pumpkin. And you need quite a few of them. So now we're going to take our Mod Podge and Mod Podge this fabric onto the pumpkin. So put a generous amount onto the surface of the pumpkin. A foam paintbrush helps here to get that on there. And then take a strip of your fabric, lay it into the Mod Podge, kind of wrap the the top and the bottom edges into the center of the pumpkin as you're doing this, and then put some more Mod Podge on top to seal it all in. For the second strip, we are doing it the same way. The important thing here is, though, you want to overlap your fabric. So where the seams are, overlap them just a bit so that way you don't have any of the plastic pumpkin showing through. So this was definitely a messy but fun step. Set this aside, let it dry. It needs a good hour, if not 2 hours, depending on how much Mod Podge you used. But while that is drying, we're gonna work on the top pumpkin, and we're gonna make the cutest scarecrow you ever did see. So I got this hat at Hobby Lobby. It was about $1.50. In their little miniature section where they have the little dollhouse things. Oh, it's so fun to look through all of that. So kind of gauge how far your hat comes down before starting to draw your face so your hat doesn't cover up your face. I'm just using a Sharpie marker and a paint pen here to draw on a silly scarecrow face. This scarecrow definitely needed some hair, so we're gonna use some raffia, just using some hot glue and some small little strips of the raffia all the way around the back side, and also even gave it some bangs. Next, add a generous amount of hot glue and add your straw hat right back on top. Since we have the raffia out, I went ahead and tied up a bow with several strands of that and cut down the tails a little bit shorter. We're going to be using this as an embellishment here in just a little bit. Now you should have some extra scrap fabric left over. We're going to use that same fabric we did for the middle pumpkin and hot glue some small little squares and rectangles onto the bottom orange larger pumpkin. And now we have all three of our pumpkins finished. Let's put them together. So use some hot glue, a lot of hot glue here on the bottom pumpkin, so we can then stack the one with the fabric on top. Since they're not going to interlock because the fabric's in the way, you are going to need quite a bit of glue here. Same thing once you add the top pumpkin and the head. Now we're going to cover up where those pumpkins meet. They come together. So here up at the top, we are going to add that raffia bow to give them a little bow tie, and then some of that Dollar Tree nautical rope around the bottom too to give them a belt. Now, we've done a lot of fall and Halloween, but let's transition over to Christmas. Now, had I had another set of white pumpkins, I could have skipped this step altogether. But you know what? If you can't find white pumpkins, all you need is one small little thin coat of some white spray paint, because we just need it to be a nice background, because we're going to cover it all up with this really fuzzy, fluffy yarn that is from Hobby Lobby. So I'm going to use some hot glue and just start twisting this all the way around the stack of 3 pumpkins to make a cute snowman. So I did speed this up to 20 times normal speed, but in real time, this took about 10 minutes, which was fun watching Nightmare Before Christmas as I did this. That is definitely my favorite Halloween movie, and I would love to know what your favorite Halloween, fall, or even Christmas movie is. Let me know down in the comments below. All right, so I definitely think this is looking much more like a snowy, fluffy snowman versus pumpkins now. So again, from Hobby Lobby, along with that straw hat, I picked up one of these black top hats, same little miniatures section. It was about $2, I believe. We're gonna add some hot glue to the top of this and add the hat. I also had a cute little poinsettia embellishment. We're gonna hot glue onto the side there as well. For the scarf, I'm using some red velvet ribbon, but you can use whatever kind of ribbon or fabric, scrap fabric you might have laying around. I think this definitely has a Christmas vibe with the red velvet. We're gonna tie that around the neck and use some red painted snowflakes from my Christmas stash for the buttons. If you love Christmas and are ready to get some Christmas crafting in, head over to my other YouTube channel, The Cozy Christmas Cottage. We are rolling with our brand new 6th season over there, and actually a brand new video is launching today. So I will have that linked down in the description box below for you. Come become part of our Christmas crew at The Cozy Christmas Cottage. Let me know which one of today's projects was your favorite down in the comments below. And if you haven't yet, definitely subscribe, hit that thumbs up button, turn on the bell notification so you never miss a video that I post here every single week. I have 2 more videos popping up on your screen. Go ahead, click which one is your favorite, head on over for more budget-friendly DIYs. Thanks so much for watching today, and I will see you in the next one. Have a creative day.